Have you ever imagined having a dream so mysterious that it could reveal the future of humanity? The mighty King Nebuchadnezzar had such a dream, but there was a problem. He couldn't remember the details, and no one could interpret it. Panic spread through the court because whoever failed to unravel the mystery would pay with their life. But then, a young captive, a simple Jew named Daniel, claimed to have received the revelation directly from God. What he said changed the course of history and still echoes today. After all, Nebuchadnezzar's prophecy has already been fulfilled, and what remains may be about to happen. Nebuchadnezzar was the most powerful man in the world. His empire ruled over nations, and his word was absolute. But one night, something deeply disturbed him. He had a dream so vivid and impactful that he woke up sweating, his heart pounding. He felt that the dream carried an important message, but there was a problem. He couldn't remember the details. Only the feeling of mystery and fear remained. Convinced that the dream was a message from the gods, the king immediately summoned the kingdom's magicians, enchanters, and astrologers. These men were considered the wisest in Babylon, experts in solving riddles and interpreting visions. With impatience, Nebuchadnezzar made an unprecedented demand. They had to not only interpret the dream but also describe it without him saying a word about what he had seen. The request was impossible. The wise men tried to argue, saying that no man on earth could accomplish such a feat. They pleaded for the king to at least reveal the contents of the dream so they could interpret it. But Nebuchadnezzar refused to be fooled. He suspected that these men had always made up answers to please him, and he wouldn't take the risk of being deceived. Enraged, he decreed that if no one could reveal and interpret the dream, all the wise men in the kingdom would be executed. The royal decree fell like a death sentence on all the wise men of Babylon, including Daniel and his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Despite being young and in exile from his homeland, Daniel did not panic. He knew that only God could reveal such a mystery. Without wasting time, he sought out his friends and asked them to pray fervently, calling on the Lord for mercy. The answer came in an astonishing way. That very night, Daniel had a dream. In his vision, God revealed exactly what Nebuchadnezzar had seen and the meaning of the prophecy. When he woke up, Daniel immediately praised the Lord, acknowledging that no human wisdom could uncover such a deep mystery. He now held the key that could change not just his own fate but the course of all humanity. Without hesitation, Daniel requested an audience with the king. He knew he was risking his life because if he wasn't convincing, he could be executed along with the other wise men. But his faith was unshakable. He fully trusted that God had given him the correct revelation. And so, he was brought before the mighty Nebuchadnezzar, a man eager to discover the truth. As he entered the grand throne room, Daniel saw the king's restless expression. He approached with respect but without fear. All eyes were on him. The entire court was anxiously waiting to see if this young captive truly had the answer no one else could provide. Silence filled the room, and Daniel took a deep breath before speaking. The moment of truth had arrived. With confidence, Daniel declared that no man on earth could reveal the king's mystery. No magic, no enchantment, no human wisdom was sufficient to interpret the dream. But there was a God in heaven who revealed secrets and made the future known. Daniel knew his words could be the last he ever spoke, but his trust in God was greater than his fear. The king leaned forward, hanging on Daniel's every word. He wanted to know, what was the dream that had disturbed him so much? What did it mean? What did this mysterious vision represent? Daniel took a deep breath and began to reveal the astonishing prophecy. The words he spoke would change not only Nebuchadnezzar's life but the entire course of human history. Standing before the most powerful king in the world, Daniel showed no fear. He knew that this moment was not a coincidence but part of a divine plan. With the court's full attention, he did something unexpected. Before revealing the dream, he made it clear that no man, no matter how wise, could do what the king was asking. No magician, astrologer, or enchanter had the ability to uncover hidden mysteries. But there was a God in heaven who knows the past, present, and future. Daniel's words intrigued Nebuchadnezzar. The king was not a patient man, but he remained silent, eager to hear what the young captive had to say. Then, Daniel began describing the dream in detail, as if he had seen it himself. Shock spread through the room, and the king's advisors exchanged looks of disbelief. Daniel spoke with a certainty that no one dared to question. In the dream, Nebuchadnezzar saw a great statue, magnificent yet terrifying. Its head was made of pure gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, and its feet were a mixture of iron and clay. The image was impressive, but it carried a dark mystery. As the king watched, a stone was cut out, not by human hands, striking the feet of the statue and reducing it to dust. The wind carried the fragments away, and the stone grew into a massive mountain that filled the whole earth. Nebuchadnezzar's face reflected a mixture of shock and awe. This was exactly what he had dreamed. No man in Babylon could have described it so precisely. But the most important part remained. What did this vision mean? What was God revealing to the king? The room fell into complete silence as Daniel began to explain. With authority, Daniel revealed that the statue represented the great empires of history. The head of gold symbolized Nebuchadnezzar himself and the splendor of the Babylonian Empire. But its glory would not last forever. After him, an inferior kingdom, represented by silver, would arise. Then, another kingdom of bronze would rule the earth, followed by an even stronger yet ruthless empire, symbolized by iron. The explanation was astonishing, but what truly caught everyone's attention was the final part of the dream, the feet of iron mixed with clay. Daniel revealed that, in the last days, there would be a divided kingdom, strong as iron, yet fragile as clay. The nations would try to unite, but they would not hold together. Then, at the appointed time, the stone, the divine kingdom, would destroy all human empires and establish an eternal reign. Nebuchadnezzar listened carefully, his mind overwhelmed by what he was hearing. He had always considered himself an absolute ruler, but now he understood that his kingdom was only a small part of a much greater plan. God was revealing the future, showing that every human empire would fall, but only one kingdom would last forever. The message was clear: human power is temporary, but God's kingdom will never end. The impact of Daniel's words was profound. Nebuchadnezzar, the king who had threatened to kill all his wise men, now stood before something far greater than himself. The prophecy revealed that no matter how grand the empires of Babylon, Persia, Greece, or Rome were, they would all crumble in time. But what was this mysterious stone that grew to fill the whole earth? Daniel concluded by saying that God was revealing to the king what would happen in the future. Everything that had been revealed was certain and true, for it came from the Most High. He asked for no rewards, no favor in return. He simply delivered God's message with unwavering faith. At that moment, Nebuchadnezzar, the most feared ruler on earth, realized there was something infinitely greater than his own power. The entire court awaited the king's reaction. If he did not accept the explanation, he could order Daniel's execution right there. But something unexpected happened. The king rose from his throne and, in an act never seen before, bowed before Daniel. He acknowledged that Daniel's God was the only true God, capable of revealing mysteries that no one else could. It was the beginning of a transformation that would change the way Nebuchadnezzar saw the world. Daniel's revelation not only saved his own life and that of his friends, but it also left a mark on history. God demonstrated that he rules over kings and empires, and that the future of humanity was already determined. But the most intriguing part of this prophecy was still to come. The empires represented in the statue have already risen and fallen, and now, only the final stage remains. Could we be living in the days of the feet of iron and clay? Daniel's revelation exposed one of humanity's greatest mysteries: the succession of empires throughout history and their connection to the divine plan. The statue seen by Nebuchadnezzar was not just a symbolic figure but a prophetic roadmap detailing the fate of nations. Each part represented a specific kingdom that would rule the earth, fulfilling God's revelation with stunning precision. What Daniel explained that night unfolded over the centuries exactly as foretold. The head of gold represented Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar's empire. He was the embodiment of this luxurious and powerful kingdom, marked by unparalleled grandeur and glory. Its wealth was unmatched, and its cultural influence shaped the world. But despite its splendor, the kingdom would not last forever. The prophecy itself indicated that another, inferior empire would take its place. And that is exactly what happened. The chest and arms of silver symbolized the Medo-Persian Empire. After Nebuchadnezzar's death, Babylon weakened, and in a single night, the Medes and Persians, led by Cyrus, took the city and seized power. It was a kingdom of strict laws and strong military organization. Silver, being less valuable than gold, indicated a lesser yet still powerful rule. And like the two arms of the statue, this empire was divided between two nations ruling together. The belly and thighs of bronze represented the Greek Empire. Alexander the Great emerged as an unstoppable conqueror, dominating vast regions in just a few years, spreading Greek culture worldwide. His military speed and strategy were legendary, and his empire reshaped history. But like all the previous empires, Greek rule would also come to an end. The statue indicated that an even stronger kingdom would arise. The legs of iron symbolized the Roman Empire, known for its ruthless strength and absolute dominance. Rome ruled with an iron fist, crushing and subjugating its enemies without mercy. Its legions were feared, and its influence extended to the ends of the known world. The iron represented this resilience and brutality. But unlike previous kingdoms, Rome was not replaced by a single empire. Instead, it divided, reflecting the split between the Western and Eastern Roman empires. The feet of iron mixed with clay represent the final phase of the prophecy. Unlike the other empires, this part of the statue does not symbolize a single kingdom but rather an era of instability and fragile alliances. The iron signifies power, but the clay represents weakness. Nations would attempt to unite, but they would not form a solid union. Many scholars believe this represents our modern world, nations with military strength yet political instability. Nebuchadnezzar's statue revealed the future of the world with astonishing accuracy. Babylon fell, Persia took its place, followed by Greece, then Rome. Everything happened exactly as Daniel had prophesied. Now, only the last part of the vision remains, the feet of iron and clay. And the most intriguing part is that the prophecy indicates something extraordinary will happen during this time. The stone that destroys the statue represents an event that will change everything. According to Daniel, this stone was not cut by human hands, indicating that it is not an earthly kingdom but a divine one. It strikes the feet of the statue, demolishing all previous empires and establishing an eternal rule. Many believe this stone represents the return of Christ and the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. If the prophecy has been fulfilled with exact precision so far, what prevents this final part from happening? Could we be on the verge of the most significant moment in human history? If Nebuchadnezzar's dream revealed all the empires before they appeared, then the last stage is already underway. And that means the arrival of God's kingdom may be much closer than we think. For centuries, the empires described in Nebuchadnezzar's vision rose and fell exactly as the prophecy predicted. Babylon, once glorious, was conquered by the Persians. The Persian rule was crushed by the fury of Alexander the Great, who spread Greek culture across the world. But after his early death, the empire fragmented, allowing the relentless rise of Rome. The grandeur of Rome seemed eternal, yet it too fell, crumbling from within. Daniel's prophecy was unfolding before the eyes of history. Every empire believed its rule was unshakable. Babylon built walls that were said to be impenetrable, yet it fell in a single night. The Persian army was vast and disciplined, yet it could not resist Alexander's genius strategy. The Greek world was influential, but its internal instability destroyed it. Rome, with all its military strength and political power, slowly fragmented until it disappeared. No human kingdom has ever withstood the relentless march of time. Nebuchadnezzar's statue did not just describe the past, it revealed an inevitable cycle. Every empire built by human hands is destined to fall. No earthly power lasts forever. No matter how much rulers accumulate wealth and strengthen their nations, their kingdoms eventually crumble, victims of corruption, war, and human weakness. But the prophecy indicated that, at the end of this cycle, an entirely different kingdom would arise. The stone that destroys the statue does not represent another human empire but a divine rule. Unlike the others, this kingdom will not be conquered, will have no successors, and will never be destroyed. It will grow to fill the whole earth and will remain forever. The prophecy points to an extraordinary event, the moment when God will establish his ultimate kingdom, putting an end to human dominion. The big question is, when will this happen? The prophecy has already shown that Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome fell exactly as predicted. Now, only the feet of iron and clay remain, the final stage. This means we are living in the last phase of this prophecy. There are no more empires left to rise. The next event will be God's direct intervention in history. Jesus spoke of a kingdom that was not of this world, a heavenly rule that would replace the kingdoms of the earth. He taught that this kingdom would be eternal and that only those who acknowledge his authority would be part of it. Nebuchadnezzar's dream and Daniel's revelation point directly to this promise. The time of human governments is ending, and God's kingdom is about to be established. Many scholars believe that the signs of our time indicate the proximity of this event. Global instability, conflicts between nations, and the fragility of political alliances perfectly reflect the feet of iron and clay in the statue. The world has become a mixture of military power and moral weakness, a divided kingdom struggling to sustain itself. And according to the prophecy, it is in this moment that the stone, cut without human hands, will strike. This means we are on the verge of the greatest transformation in human history. Daniel's prophecy, which has been fulfilled with absolute precision so far, indicates that the next stage will be final. God will destroy all earthly kingdoms and establish a just and eternal government. There will be no more oppression, corruption, or injustice. Only divine sovereignty will prevail. The statue fell piece by piece, but the stone will come all at once, crushing everything that came before. When that moment arrives, there will be no more time to choose a side. The kingdom of God will not be an open invitation forever. The prophecy has already revealed what is coming, and now the only question is, are we prepared for the arrival of the eternal kingdom? If Daniel's prophecy has been fulfilled with precision so far, that means we are now living in the final days of this vision. The empires of gold, silver, bronze, and iron have risen and fallen, leaving only the last phase, the feet of iron and clay. The modern world reflects this unstable mix of strength and fragility. And the big question is, could the prophecy be about to reach its ultimate fulfillment? The prophecy describes a time when nations would be as strong as iron yet as fragile as clay. Today, we see military superpowers with arsenals capable of destroying the planet, yet these same nations are plagued by internal divisions, political crises, and economic collapse. The world is more technologically advanced than ever, yet instability reigns. Alliances between nations are fragile and temporary, just like iron and clay that do not mix. Furthermore, the Bible speaks of specific signs that would precede the end of human kingdoms. Jesus mentioned wars, rumors of wars, famines, plagues, and earthquakes in various places. Never before have we seen a scenario so aligned with these words. The world is facing endless conflicts, global pandemics, and natural disasters on an unprecedented scale. And according to Scripture, these are only the beginning of sorrows. Another astonishing factor is the increasing persecution of Christian values. The faith that once ruled empires is now being attacked and marginalized. In many countries, Christians are persecuted, imprisoned, and even killed for their beliefs. The world is heading toward an era where faith in God will be seen as an obstacle, something that must be eliminated. This aligns perfectly with Daniel's prophecy, which shows the peak of corruption in earthly kingdoms before divine judgment. Technology also plays a prophetic role. Never before has society been so closely monitored and controlled. Global surveillance, the digitalization of money, and advancements in artificial intelligence are creating a system where every person can be tracked and regulated. The Bible speaks of a time when no one will be able to buy or sell without a specific mark. Could we be approaching that moment? The prophecy also speaks of an increase in knowledge. Daniel was instructed to seal the words of his vision because only in the end times would people fully understand its meaning. Today, with technology and historical records, we can interpret the prophecy like never before. This suggests that we are living in the time when these revelations were meant to be understood. Another crucial point is the relentless pursuit of world peace. Governments and international organizations desperately try to unite nations, but they never achieve true peace. The world is increasingly divided, and every attempt at unity fails. This scenario perfectly matches the metaphor of the feet of iron and clay, nations trying to unite but never truly succeeding. The stone that destroys the statue represents God's intervention in the course of history. When the world is completely fragmented, when human efforts to govern are a total failure, God's kingdom will rise. The prophecy indicates that this intervention will happen while the feet of the statue still exist. And if we are indeed living in this time, it means that the arrival of God's kingdom may be much closer than we think. Given all this, the big question is, are we ready? Daniel's prophecy is not just a record of the past, but a warning for the future. Humanity may continue to ignore these signs, but the truth is that the prophecy is already in its final stage. The only thing left now is for the last piece of God's plan to fall into place. And when that happens, there will be no more time to choose. Daniel's prophecy is not just a story from the past, but a warning about humanity's future. Every empire described in Nebuchadnezzar's vision rose and fell exactly as God revealed. Now, we are living in the days of the feet of iron and clay, the final stage before God's great intervention. If everything so far has been fulfilled with precision, what prevents the last part of the prophecy from happening? The stone that destroys the statue represents God's kingdom coming to end human rule. And when that day arrives, there will be no more time for choices. That's why the most important question is, are you prepared for what's coming? If this content was valuable to you, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to keep up with more videos like this one.